Large language models can confidently generate false information and present it as fact. This tendency to simply invent things is one of the biggest challenges in the field of artificial intelligence.
The name for this phenomenon is an AI hallucination. It's what happens when a model like a chatbot produces an answer that is factually incorrect or completely nonsensical, but delivers it with absolute authority. Now, it's important to understand this is very different from a human hallucination. A person having a hallucination is experiencing a false sensory perception, and AI doesn't perceive anything. Instead, it constructs a plausible but false response, which is much closer to the psychological concept of confabulation, or filling in gaps in memory with fabricated information. Because of this, many researchers actually criticize the term hallucination, arguing it anthropomorphizes the AI. They prefer more neutral descriptions like fabrication or factual errors. Some have even argued that the most accurate term is bullshitting, because the model is fundamentally indifferent to whether its output is true or not. So why does this happen? Well, these errors aren't just random glitches. They actually stem directly from the way these models are designed and trained.
It really comes down to three main causes. First, the training data is flawed. Models learn from enormous, imperfect data scraped from the internet, full of bias and gaps. Second is their probabilistic design. Their goal isn't to be truthful. It's to predict the next most plausible word in a sentence. And third, they lack grounding. They have no inherent connection to the real world that would let them verify the facts they generate.
And this process can create a cascade of errors. Once an AI invents one word, that word becomes part of the prompt for generating the next one. This can lead to long, very coherent, but completely fabricated responses.
And these invented facts are not just trivial mistakes. They have already led to some pretty significant real-world consequences.
For instance, in a well-documented case, a lawyer in New York used an AI to help write a legal brief. The final document he submitted to the court cited multiple past legal cases as precedent, but it turned out the AI had just made them all up.
The presiding judge on that case, P. Kevin Castell, later remarked that generative AI platforms make stuff up, even quotes and citations.
In another example, an airline was actually held legally responsible for a policy its own customer service chatbot invented. The chatbot told a customer they could get a discount that didn't exist, and the court ordered the airline to honor what the bot had promised.
And the problem extends way beyond that. We've seen fictitious academic citations pop up in government reports, invented financial data used in news articles, and even entirely non-existent scientific papers cited as sources in research.
But here's the twist. While these hallucinations are clearly a big problem, the underlying mechanism, this ability to generate novel information, can also be surprisingly useful.
So the very same tendency that causes problems can also be a feature. It really just depends on the context. On one hand, you get misinformation and legal risks, but on the other, you get a powerful tool for creative problem-solving and innovation.
The key difference is grounding. When this generative ability is uncontrolled, it produces falsehoods. But in a controlled scientific setting, where it's guided by real-world data and the laws of physics, this creativity can actually accelerate discovery. For example, researchers have used this exact capability to design millions of new proteins that don't exist in nature. It's been used to create a novel geometry for a catheter that reduces bacterial contamination and to enhance blurry medical images to get better diagnostics. So given both the risks and the potential, researchers are working hard to develop methods to manage these invented facts and make AI more reliable. Some of the key strategies include improving the quality of the training data from the start, augmenting the AI with external, verified knowledge bases to ground its responses in fact, setting clear constraints on what it can and can't talk about, and of course, having human oversight to validate and review any critical content it generates. But there's no single silver bullet here. Mitigating hallucinations is a complex and ongoing challenge in AI development. It's going to require a combination of better data, smarter models, and more careful implementation. All of this brings us to a central question for the future of AI. When a technology can be both a source of dangerous falsehoods and a catalyst for incredible innovation, how do we decide when and where to trust it?